Okay, guys, I think we will start off there. So thank you everyone for joining me on this webinar. My name is Craig Mills and I'm the head of product here at Growth Engineering. I have been with Growth Engineering around just over 2 years now. Previously, before that, I actually came from Game, the retailer, where I spent around 5 years as their head of learning. So when it comes to really making a memorable learning moment, I think I've had my fair share in making that a reality. And I also have a really good experience in making something memorable, fun, and having the impact that you need. Retail, as everyone knows, is a struggling area, especially with everything being digital and other issues that we're overcoming with pandemics, etc. However, when I was in game, it came to a point where we needed to ensure that all of our people were trained and that they knew exactly what was going. But beyond that, they needed to be experts and professionals and really passionate about what they did. And we really had some great moments in game, which I can go through today. Now, a bit of housekeeping on today. So we do have quite a few people on the call. If you've got any questions that you want to ask, then you can absolutely ask them in the chat. I've got Harry Cloak here with me today, who will be screening those and responding, and he will interrupt me, stop me, or bring up any questions that are pertinent to what I'm talking about, so that we can ensure that we do cover off everything for you. I'm expecting the presentation to last around about half an hour, giving us plenty of time for overrunning, but also for any questions that you may ask or any scenarios that you may want to pick our brains on today. Okay, so just before we begin, I'm just going to check the chat. So Harry has just shared on there the chat and exactly where to drop the questions if you do have any as we're going through. So the purpose of today's webinar, as it says on the screen here, is creating memorable learning moments that impact your learners and your business. Now, what we mean by that is it's not just the sort of traditional learning that we need to have if you really want to make an impact to the way that your learners remember things, the way that your learners perceive their learning environment, and the way that they think about learning and development generally. And then also the impact that that change in their behavior and the way that content can be delivered will impact your business in a really positive way. So we will move through this. If I can get the controls. There we go. So the way that we're going to move through this today is I'm really going to take you on a 10-step journey around exactly what it means for me personally to create a learning moment, but also obviously at Growth Engineering, we have our own platform, our own LMS system, which I believe is truly set up in the best way to deliver those learning moments. But absolutely everything that we cover today will be usable in any environment where you want to create a memorable piece of training that really changes the mindset of your learners. So one of the things before we even start on that 10-step journey is really to think about how we at Growth Engineering perceive learning. So it's not the age past, which is you find content, you create content, you maybe grab content from an external provider and you place it in front of someone and you tell them they have to learn it, and then you track them and see who's completed it, who hasn't, and then you feel as an L&D person your job's done. You've got 90% of the business through X pieces of training. It's so much more than that, because it's about not just having that content at the point of need, although that's still very important, but it's creating a culture of learning. It's creating a place that people want to go to. It's a place where people feel like they actually have a good experience when they're there. They feel they can share their knowledge, and it's a place that feels it's a real natural and fun environment, in the same way that you get social platforms like LinkedIn or Facebook or even Instagram. People go to those on a daily basis because it's something fun that they want to do. They want to see what everybody else is doing. It's a social and it's a enjoyable experience for them. And we see learning in exactly the same way. If you can enjoy going somewhere, visit there daily, and get something from it that helps you in your everyday life, then it's going to be beneficial to you, and you're going to keep going back. And that culture and that social community is only going to grow. And that's exactly what we believe here at Growth Engineering. And it's only when you've got that culture that you'll start seeing that huge impact on any of your learning initiatives. So as I said, this presentation will take you through the 10 steps. And the first one is looking at the current stresses and what are the current issues that people have when it comes to learning online. So if you ask anyone about our online learning experience or their online learning experience, the general response is something around it's boring, it's dull, confusing. It may even be that, oh, it's just something that my boss tells me to do or something that I've got to do to tick the box. In many organizations as well, it's kind of seen as the only thing that they do at the very start of joining the company. They may tick boxes on health and safety and policies, and then after that, they never visit that learning space again. So some of the things that really cause this stress for people is a soulless platform that feels isolated. I'm sure you've all had experiences of visiting a learning platform that you don't know what to do, you don't know where to go, there's no one around, there's no interactions happening. So you feel like it's a very cold, soulless place that you go to click and tick a box and you get your green tick, if that, and then you leave there never to come back again. Boring content with lots of reading. You know, one of the first things that happened in digital learning is it just was lots of text and lots of reading to do online, whereas we've got a lot more different media and different ways to deliver even reading content in a way that is more enjoyable. One of the things that may cause stress is that learning is often thrust on people at inconvenient times. So it doesn't get to a point that's convenient for them and they choose to go there and learn something new. It's the case that something's come up, they have to learn it, so their manager's telling them they need to do that, or there's a notification or a communication out that this has to be done by X date, and that's the way it's done. There's not a culture of wanting to do it, it's more being told to. Some people say there's no real value or meaning to the learner, and it's very much a blanket approach, and there's one piece of content that is aimed at everyone, and it's just to tick a box and ensure that everyone has that understanding. And sometimes organizations see this the wrong way. They don't see it as ensuring that the person at the end fully understands and has taken on board what they've learned, more than that they've ticked a box and ensured that they have shared that training with the learner. And if that really doesn't have that value or meaning to the learner, then they're going to be less likely to hold it, retain it, and use it in their future. It can be a painful experience that is last on their list. So if they've been told that they have to do something by the end of the month, they're not going to do it straight away. I mean, some people may, but it may be something that is just a painful experience. It's last on their list, and they put it off until they're maybe prompted 3 or 4 times. There's no real link to supporting their day-to-day. So if they're being asked to do content that is absolutely no reflection of their job and what they do and what they need to do every day, then it will feel meaningless and it doesn't add to their day-to-day use. And there's often people that say, you know, it's pointless doing this because I don't retain the information anyway. I do it just to tick a box. I do it to click through to get to the end, to get my manager off my back. And so they're really going into a learning experience with the wrong mindset right from the beginning. So it seems strange to start a presentation talking about all these negative things, but I think it's really important to face into exactly what's there at the moment and what is reality for many companies. And it's also important to understand these issues and break away from the normal mindset as L&D people or as people that are looking to change the way they do training, because it's not just create content, put it in front of people and get the numbers. It really is making sure that that information reaches the brain of the learner and they enjoy the experience and want to come back and learn more and more. So the first step on that journey, apart from understanding all of that, sorry, we've got a question here as well. Let me just double check that. Okay, so we've got a question here. I'll answer it live, which is, how would you recommend to perform this first step? I think if we just go back for a second, to that first step of understanding the current stresses. This can be done in a variety of ways within your organization. There can be the normal kind of understanding that you may already know. It may be that you've been told a million times by people in your organization why they don't like something, but it may be that until it's forced upon them, you're not going to get the answers you need. So I'd recommend potentially having a survey that you can send out. It may need encouragement to begin with, because people aren't necessarily engaged or feel like this is something that is, again, important to them. So you might not get back responses. To help with that, you could have focus groups. So you could get groups from different representatives around your organization to come together, and you could do an open focus group asking these questions. What do they like? What do they not like? What do they see as their blockers? To really start to collect and capture that information of your specific situation and what their current stresses are. Hopefully that's answered the question for you there, but we can come back to that later if not. So for us here at Growth Engineering, and for any of us really, is the importance of a social experience. Now, we know that doing something on your own is only so much fun, but sharing that experience with others, being able to talk about it, being able to help and get support when you don't feel like you fully understand something, feeling like you're going on a journey together, and that when you come out of it, you can reflect on that and talk about something that is a shared experience, is all very, very powerful. So as it says here, one of the biggest perceived negatives with online learning is a large risk with so many remote workforces of isolation. So what we're saying here is there's the same risk in online learning that we have in remote workforces with the pandemic and things as they are now, is that people are isolated. And this means that you get reduced knowledge sharing, where you would normally go to the break room and you'd be chatting about something work related often, and you would say, oh, I've got the same problem, this is how I've dealt with it. That situation in the current climate and in a more digital future is diminished. So it makes sense to have a learning and social space where these types of conversations can naturally occur within a learning mindset. So one of the benefits of having a social platform within your LMS is really that it allows you to communicate. It gives you these, with us specifically, we give social feeds that show thriving community. You visit our platform and straight away on the desktop, you will get a community, we call it the what's happening wall, and that is the latest things people are saying, the latest things people have achieved, the latest things people have completed, and their comments. So they can have a whole comment string of exactly how, if they need help, if they need support, or how they found a specific experience. Having a social platform where there's experts available to assist, so that you can actually highlight who are your professionals, who are the people that have this knowledge around your business, and then you can put them on a pedestal in front of all of your learners, allowing them to answer questions. Now this comes, we'll come to sort of restrictions and problems you get later, but there's often people within a business who don't want to go onto a learning platform because they feel like they know everything already, or they feel like they know everything they need to know. Being able to add experts and that social side into your platform allows these people to showcase their knowledge and still be part of that learning environment, even if they are accurate in that they know everything. Often it's not the case. We also have the ability for clubs, and this is communities of excellence. Now, it's all great having a social environment where everyone can talk to each other, and that is great, and it is this sort of community and culture that you want to create. However, there will be times where you need to go into a meeting. There's times where you need to speak amongst a team or a specific project group. And having these types of social features within a learning platform allows us to be the place that people go to for knowledge, for sharing, and for understanding. You can have information delivered by known people. So it could be that there's specific experts and people that are known around your business currently. And usually you would maybe nip to their desk and you'd ask them exactly for support on a specific problem. Whereas now you may be doing that over Skype or Slack or anything like that. Whereas having it dedicated to knowledge means that these people can actually start sharing their knowledge, and their expertise within a designated space, so they don't have to keep answering that for everybody, but they can place it there as a knowledge management tool for others to appreciate, to look at the frequently asked questions, and really get that information without having to be a constant drain on the people that know it. And we also recommend the likes of blogs and articles. So we on Growth Engineering's LMS, you can do those as an admin. You can deliver articles out to your users, or that could be user-generated content where users are coming up with their own articles and really things that resonate with your people in your community and within your business. And then people start getting known for sharing, and they'll get known for being an expert on that specific conversation. So it sparks a reason to talk to them outside of that learning environment as well. The other thing that's great within a social experience is the ability to comment, like, share, and interact so that it doesn't feel stale. It feels like this is a bustling place where everyone's going. And also, it's a place that you don't want to miss out on. You want to visit, you want to see what's happening, what's new, and what everyone's up to. So I think what I'd like to do now is just give you a little bit of a showcase of what we do at Growth Engineering to really deliver the importance of social experience. And then after that, we'll stop and pause for any questions if you do have any on the social experience there, just for a moment. Okay. I don't know if anyone's got any extra questions in the chat.
No questions in the chat so far.
No worries. We will continue on. So as you will have seen there, social is one key part to creating an engaged workforce, engaged set of learners. And next thing we'll touch on is the art of gamification. So what we're saying here is about making it fun. Fun not only when you're social with other people, but fun when you're on your own. A feeling of progression and a feeling of camaraderie and competition. So gamification, for anyone that doesn't know, is the use of game mechanics within a non-gaming environment. I mean, it's really what we do. It's our bread and butter here at Growth Engineering. We do have an authoring tool called Genie, which is gamified from the ground up, including gaming templates, so that you can easily create quick gamified content. But everything we do on the LMS as well is also using gamification. So that's experience points on for every type of content completed. All those experience points goes towards a leaderboard so that you can progress and look at your peers and where they're doing, and you can overtake people, and you can earn badges, awards, and achievements as you're going through there as well. It's something to encourage them to keep going. It's a real positive reinforcement tool that makes them understand that they're moving in the right direction. They're learning more, they're completing things, they're progressing, they're leveling up. We have levels on there as well. And gamification, whether you're using it on our Growth Engineering LMS or on any LMS, would highly recommend doing as many gamification mechanics into your learning as possible, because it makes learning fun and it gives them instant feedback even when you have a quiet platform with less people. So some of the things to think about that what we do at Growth Engineering is, like I said, we earn badges. It's not a case of throw gamification at everything you do, because it's like too much of any sweet thing, it gets sickly. And if you get given badges tons of experience points for every single thing you're doing, it will lose its impact for feeling like you've achieved something. So the way that we work with it is you can attach badges to any single piece of content if that content is valid enough to be a reward, so that something that is important, something maybe that is mandatory or something that needs to be completed, you can do it so that they earn a badge when they've completed that piece of content. We do awards, which is for completing groups of content. So, if you want to award someone for being a customer service expert, then what you could do is you could have it based on classrooms they've attended and content they've completed and specific achievements that they've done or interactions around the platform. And if that's all linked to customer service, then it makes sense that once they've done all of that group of content, they get the award for customer service expert. And that can be exactly, whatever you want to call it there. And we also have achievements, and this is something that is really useful because you set it up once and it really works for everyone. And it's for rewarding people for natural curiosity, exploration around the platform, visiting places, searching for things, visiting and logging in multiple times. Then this can trigger achievements, which then give them that sense of progression and that they're moving forward, and that every time they visit the learning platform, they are leaving it better than when they started and that they've made progress. And that's huge in any sort of sense of learning, is to feel that you've taken something away from it more than what you started. Another thing that we do, which is great in any environment, not just in any learning culture, but is management praise. One of the things we have available to us is the ability for your managers to praise the learners based on anything that you as an admin would deem necessary. So it could be that they've dressed up and participated in a charity event, or it could be that they brought in some good baking after a bake-off competition. Whatever it is that resonates with your team can be added as a management praise opportunity. As I mentioned before, we can have levels that actually support progression. So if someone has a specific role and previously it's been difficult to support them throughout their entire career, you can actually put their role into a set of levels that allow them to develop and develop and develop for years on end, and you can continually add levels to it if they need to in the future as well. You can link these to progression, career progression, and people can feel like actually if they want to move forward in their business, they've got a place to go and do that. They can learn, they can progress, and they can level up. And in a bit of fun, we do have leaderboards on there. It's always great to have a bit of competition, to see who's ahead of you, to see who's behind you, maybe who's catching you up, and to spur you on to be at the top of your team and the top of your game. And we also do have streaks as well, which reward that real behavior change of logging in maybe once a day. And then that streak goes up. You would have seen it on many mobile games, or even on fitness, on the fitness watches and things like that, where it says, have you done your steps for today? Have you done your exercise, or have you got up and sat down as much as you should have done? We have those same streaks, and it's for exactly the same reason the fitness companies have theirs. And it's to get people in the behavior and in the mindset of coming back and doing these things that are good for you repeatedly until it becomes a behavior and it becomes a habit. So I think one of the other things to think of, as I mentioned right at the beginning there, it is not just about having these gamification elements, but also the gamification strategy that really allows you to engage and excite people. So with that, I think one of the things we highly suggest is have it so it's progressive, the gamification. Have it so that when you first join a learning platform, it's easy to get these rewards and you collect quite a lot quickly. But then as you get more committed and more empowered to do more, it should be more difficult to level up, to get to the higher levels, so that actually feels more of an achievement every time you get awarded something. So it really is making sure that you think about that and think about exactly the right amount to deliver over time. And it should be something that's always added as well, because if they feel like they've collected everything and they've done everything, they will soon have no reason to come back, even if they've got the right behaviors. So I think, as you can see just on these first two elements, having a social community that can see, interact and talk with each other, and having lots of fun, even when the people aren't there, that mean people are enjoying themselves when they visit the platform, is critical in getting them into that mindset of wanting to come back and visit the LMS or the platform that you're delivering. Again, I'm just going to take you on a little bit of a demonstration on what we do here at Growth Engineering to really bring home the art of gamification. Okay, and I did see a question come in here as well. So this question comes, I'll answer it live. It says, hi, what gamification do you recommend for the leadership level specifically as a hard crowd to reach? You're absolutely right. What I would say is competition and camaraderie is always at any level, absolutely any level of the business. If you were to specifically go to the leadership, I would try and get an ambassador, someone that can bring up the conversation, someone that can challenge people and let them know that, oh, have you got this badge yet? Have you achieved this? And I think if they can start that conversation at that leadership level, then people will still engage. The other thing that you can do is really just make sure that there's content that is useful for them. I think the thing with the leadership level is that a lot of leadership, and this is a broad spectrum, already appreciate and understand the benefits of their own personal development. So if you've got good content on there and then they start achieving the gamification because they're doing the content, they will see this as an added bonus and they'll really buy into the extra rewards that they've felt because they'll be used to, many of them, learning just off their own back and based on their own needs. So I think that's probably what I'd recommend. Have an ambassador there to help support the platform and what it does. Make sure that there's content, maybe speak to them about specifically what content that they want. And also the other thing which is great for leadership and management, especially when you've got leaderboards and things that we have, is that get them to get competitive about the people in their teams. So if they turn around and say, well, I've got 90% of my teams have done this, and overall my team have collected 300 badges and yours have only got 100, it kind of, that's where they start getting fired up a little bit, because they'll go back because they know it's in their influence to manage downwards and support people to do more, and they don't want to be trailing behind. There's quite a few different bits there. Okay, so the other thing, and the last thing before we start talking about making a or creating a specific learning moment, is really this point that I really want to emphasize around making sure that there's meaning for your learners in what they get from coming onto the platform. So, I mean, we've said with social interactions, people like social, people like friendly competition. However, the content and what is being delivered to them needs to resonate with them. They need to feel like it's a fantastic tool that helps them with their daily lives, with their work, with their own development, and that time spent there is time well invested in what they're doing and for their teams and for everyone involved. So there's a few things that we really highlight as being important for having meaning for them. This first point is around something we call epic meaning. And basically that is that you make the platform your own, and it feels very unique to your business and to them. And it's not just another cardboard cutout, a cookie dough cutout of a learning platform, and that they've just got their content on there that they need to do. Making sure that the language that's used, the features that are there, the look and feel, the visualization is very unique to them, and it feels like their special place, their own personal place that they can go to that is right for them, and it has everything tailored specifically to their needs. It's something that they feel part of that is maybe bigger than just a standard platform you go onto and learn. It should have language that's accessible to a diverse workforce, having multiple language options. We all have diverse workforces, and there may be different language needs or different skill level needs, and that should always be considered as part of making sure that there's meaning for everyone. You should ensure that you're delivering training that's right for your learners as well. So what you don't want to do is have a platform which has got 8,000 pieces of training on it, but for an individual, there may be only 10 pieces that are relevant and useful for them. Within Growth Engineering's LMS, you can really deliver only the content that's right for the content group, for the people that are receiving it as well. And that can grow. So you can do it so that people, as they change job roles, as they progress, they may get more access and get invited to other content as well. But it's better that than having so much and they feel like they can't get round it, or they're doing some of it, but it really isn't relevant to them and they're wasting their time. A great thing to ensure that has meaning for them is to challenge learners to share their own knowledge. If they're sharing their knowledge, then they feel like it's something that's important for them to do. It feels like they're helping people. And teaching people is sometimes just as important as learning. It empowers these people that have the knowledge to reinforce that knowledge and to really understand their own perception of it. And when they get challenged or when they get asked to really present that, they really have to ensure they're delivering everything to its best. Another great way to ensure there's meaning is link training to real situations. So and that could be, it's very broad on this, it could be that you, at the end of a specific piece of training, you say, this is how you would use this in your day-to-day, and you give them examples so that they can ground what they've learned in reality of a situation, so that next time they're in that situation, they can think about what they've learned and reuse it. But it could be that they they want to actually have real situations that are brought to life in the platform itself. So it could be that you want to record people doing the things that you've trained them to do in a specific environment, so that they can see that and other people can see it happening in a real situation that is resonating with them. Say it's a distribution center or a warehouse, and you've recorded the actual workers there doing what you want to show them to showcase they're doing. Then when someone sees that and they recognize the faces, the situation, the exact instance, that it's going to resonate with them more. Share testimonials and great experiences. I think if you can get people that have really learned well from something, used it in a great way, and you showcase that and get them to really talk about their experience, it shows how other people have benefited from the platform, and it really, again, backs up the fact that they can experience the same thing and learn and develop and progress. Showcase achievements and accolades. So we talked about gamification before, but it's great for them to be able to be recognized and also reward people for great achievements. It could be that someone's done something absolutely fantastic within your organization and you want to share it on here so that others can learn from that fantastic approach and their behavior and what they did. And encourage people to share their own successes. So when they've achieved certain things, when their teams are doing great, they should share it on here so that people know the people that are doing well, and the people are able to be freely, and it's no cost to champion someone and to give them that sense of recognition. And then the last thing on here is allow those that love learning to be ambassadors. So people that really love your platform, that are on there all the time, that you can see are logging in every single day, speak to those people, find out what they love about it, and ask them if they want to have some maybe special privileges. They may want to create articles, they may want to be even more involved. because then there's extra meaning for the even more to the people that are fully embracing the platform. I am just going to reshare my screen quickly to ensure that the computer sound is on. And I will, once we've looked over this final piece, we will start looking into the learning moment. But what I want to do first is just showcase the epic meaning and the meaning points that growth engineering can deliver for you. Okay, brilliant. I can see we've got some questions there as well that have come in. Okay. So Ian Reed says, missed part of the webinar, will be there recording available? Absolutely. We will be able to get a recording of this. I think, Harry, that will be best placed with you. Hopefully, we've managed to capture the recording of the first part. It was capturing it as we moved on to the second part. So, and this second part is recording as we speak. So hopefully we'll have everything together and we'll be able to splice them together into one unit with a brief interlude. Brilliant. Thanks, Harry. You've answered that as well. Any other questions around epic meaning or personalization, or even any of the social or gamification points that we mentioned before? Okay. Right, the next, apologies. The next thing that we will talk about is creating hype. Now, what we're talking about here is now the start of really, once you've got an engaged audience, they love coming onto your platform, and it may be starting only small to begin with. It may be you've only got a few people that are truly engaged. It may be that you've got only a few people that are visiting it. The first thing you want to do is create hype around the platform, what it does, and basically market the platform so that people start visiting. So things will start small at first, and you will only have a small community of learners, and then you will have kind of one hit to be able to bring everyone back onto the platform. It could be that you redesign it, it could be that you recreate, or that you are launching a new platform. But some of the things that I've done in the past is great to have kind of a countdown, be creative, kind of give them teaser information about what's coming, and give them kind of that hype and excitement that something's happening from your department, something new is coming when it comes to learning, and it gives them a reason to come in, and their curiosity is piqued and they want to explore. And it's really important to get that kind of first ball rolling. So, you know, as learning happens and you sort of get the focused time of learning, and people start then appreciating and getting information out of it, they'll want to come back again and again. And we'll come on to that a bit in the future. But what I want to just highlight here is really to start off is there is thinking about things creatively. So before you've even launched anything, make sure you've got a plan. So get creative and plan out what you want to do. Don't be afraid to drip feed information. I know sometimes it's very common that we want to tell everybody everything that's happening. You know, come onto the platform. It's launching from 9 o'clock. It's available with 100 pieces of learning. Everyone will be on there. This is what you can do. You can do X, Y, and Z. And you give them too much information, and they feel like, well, I don't need to come because I know everything that's happening anyway. So don't be afraid to drip feed information. Give them some teaser information, maybe just a hint of a logo, and that's the first thing they see, and then give them a date and tell them and then the URL to come onto on the launch day. And this goes throughout everything that you should be doing, both at the launch of a platform, but also when you've got any sort of learning moment that you want to create. So create curiosity around what you're doing, get people discussing, maybe we'll have a countdown, give the critical information needed, but not all the details. Make the first event something that can be missed. This sounds like a strange thing, but what you don't want to do is have your first impact moment being something that has to be done and is forced and there is no margin for error, because it will force you to have to drag people through the coals to get on there. Whereas what you want is the first learning moment to be something that can be missed but shouldn't be missed. And make the first moment very rewarding for them as well. So it could be that it has high experience points, it could be there's lots of badges, it could be that you actually have some physical rewards, or we'll come on to in a moment. And then the other thing is engage key stakeholders to support awareness, so that you've mentioned you've got this big thing coming. They're on board with what it is. You've given them all the details of what you're planning to deliver and the key output that is going to be from the learning moment. And then you get them on board with engaging their peers and telling them about it, talking about it, and getting them, again, more hyped for the learning moment coming. I think there was a question there. So for step 4, how do you elaborate an epic meaning? So a great question. With going back to 4 on epic meaning, you would start with the basics of what you're trying to deliver with your epic meaning. It could be values, it could be your mission statement, it could be a certain words and ways that you want people to feel and their experience you want them to have. But then constantly seek feedback. The whole thing, which we'll come on to later around learning moments, is the way that they cycle. And when you cycle them, they get more and more powerful. And I think with epic meaning, it's exactly the same way. I would say start small with some things that are really critical to the heart of your business or the learning platform or what you want to achieve, and then grow from there based on understanding the needs and what people want and desire when they're coming onto the platform. Okay. Next one is about delivering a memorable moment. So you've got people hyped about the platform, you've got people excited about there's something going on, but what do you do to actually deliver a memorable moment? So firstly, you should imagine a learning moment as a special event. It could be a season of learning, festive celebration, or just a magnification on a specific subject or topic that you really need to ensure everyone knows and learns about. It should be something that's fun to take part in. It allows you to focus on your training objectives, exactly what you want them to learn and what you want them to train on during that memorable moment. And it should be something that people feel like they don't want to miss out on. So it should be timed, and it should be a specific event in time that you can really narrow your focus and drive everyone in a communication towards, rather than it being a kind of platform that's just there when they need it and there's nothing going on. It's really creating this moment of impact. Some of the things you can do to help support that moment and make it really special for them is, first of all, change the look and feel of the platform. Step outside of your brand colors, go with something completely different in support of a charity or something that's powerful for you. Launch new training to support the event. Make sure there's something brand new there for them to devour, for them to complete, for them to learn about, that maybe they've never had that experience before. And this means that the people that are even the most passionate and have been on the platform and maybe completed everything else that's there, know that there's going to be something for them. You can also use it as an opportunity to highlight any content that's currently available that's connected to the point or the season or the theme that you're trying to connect to. So if you were to have a memorable moment, let's use an example of wellness or taking care of yourself. It could be that with that you launch a whole platform that is changed in theme, design and color and is all around that moment. And then it's also creating content that is specifically for the situation that they're in and what concepts you want to tackle around, say, mental wellness, physical well-being. And then you could say, actually, we've got 6 different pieces of content that highlight this and support this. So you would bring that to the forefront and highlight that as part of that learning moment as well. Some of the other things you can do, you can have special guest speakers. They could be volunteers. They could be people that are known in your business or specialists. You could make special gamification awards for taking part. So if you put a curriculum of content in that's specifically for that training season, and then when someone completes all that content, they get a special badge that they can only get during that event. You can add a reward raffle element. This is something, it's not all about giving people something for attending. They should want to be there, and it should be a passion for them. However, a reward raffle element can really go a long way to get lots of people interested, to get a lot of people talking, get people excited. The reason I call it a reward raffle element is you want more people to come onto the platform and do the content. So what you can do is say that for every person that completes the content during this season of learning, they will be entered into a raffle to win a prize. But they have to complete the content to do that. And then what you can do is you can highlight those people using the social and gamification features later and take photos of them with their prize and put them on the social wall and celebrate the person that was the winner of that learning event that you were doing. And the other thing that you can do is consider enhanced rewards at milestones. So this is an enhancement of what I've said previously with the raffle reward element. So it could be that you actually have some milestones throughout your learning season where you say, if we get 100 people that complete the training, then you get reward X. If you get 500 people, you get reward Y, and if you get 1,000 people, you get reward Z. And you can make sure that the prize that's on offer is reflective of the value of getting that many people through the training. What this does is it really helps to support you in a sort of learning field when it comes to, if you've got a budget for these things, you don't have to pay out for an event that isn't a success. But the more successful it is, the more you can contribute to it, which always goes down well with any stakeholders or leaders that may want to be offering up money for events like this, especially if you can link to return on investment elements, which we'll come on to again later. You can release content daily throughout the event, so it could be a reason for them to come back again and again during the event. You could release user content created during the event as well. So it could be that one of the things you ask people to do is submit videos of themselves doing a specific task. It could be there's videos of themselves giving the perfect sales pitch. And then when they've added those in, they can be shared and people can see what they're like and kind of get that shared community aspect during the event. You can also connect it with other events in the business. So just as I was saying there around a sort of charity event, it could be that the entire business is trying to support children in need or something like that. So you could put Pudsey the Bear on your platform. You could say that for every piece of content that's completed between this season of learning or this event that you're doing, that £1 is donated to children in need from the company, something like that. So tying it together in meaningful events around the organization mean that the platform is so much more than just a stale, stagnant learning platform that is only seen sort of once or twice a year. The other thing is to make it clear when the event ends, so that people understand they've got a finite amount of time, because by doing this, and you see it if anyone's ever sent out surveys that have deadlines on them, you get a spike at the beginning. You get a spike anytime you push it, and then you get a spike the day before it ends because people want to take part and they've maybe left it to the last minute. But if you don't add that endpoint, you'll never get that spike at the end, and it will just fade out from that initial communication. So it's always good to have that endpoint quite clear in there as well. Okay, from having that moment and that sort of memorable moment of learning, or the season, whatever you'd like to call it, it's also, once it's finished or even during, it's also good to get people talking about it. So as it says here, before, during, or after the learning moment has happened, there's never a bad time to get people talking and discussing what they've learned, the event itself, celebrating the winners, as I said before, with photos, or they just, they could say thank you very much, or whatever you want them to do on the platform. But they start speculating what's going to happen next, highlighting, one of the things that highlights a perfect learning moment is when people start talking about the next one. I wonder what they'll do next. Or you start maybe drip feeding some information about what your next moment will be. And people start getting excited and start talking amongst themselves. And they say, oh, I hope it's X, Y, and Z. Or I hope they have the same raffle mechanic. Or I hope they've got a speaker because the person that did it last time was amazing. And you'll start to understand that people are resonating with what you're doing and that they're getting excited about what's happening next. So some of the ways you can get people talking, share stats on how many people took part. This is good not only just to highlight that people took part and how many people did that, but also people can then reflect on that based on previous events and know that it's it's growing, it's getting bigger and bigger. More people took part, and it was a huge amount of people that were there. You can also highlight top participants, so maybe have a top 3 and say these are our top performers during that event, and well done to them, and they maybe could get an extra prize, or they get extra experience points, or a manager praise badge, as we mentioned before. Anyone rewarded to share photos as prizes, I mentioned that. And you can also have surveys to find out what was liked and not liked. It's always great to have that feedback mechanic afterwards. It could be people said, I love the reward, but I felt like there was no chance of me getting it because 18,000 people took part and there was only one prize of a box of chocolates or something like that, where, every bit of feedback is good. You can also invite them to come up with ideas, and this could be a club on the platform, or it could be a separate thing, of what events they would want to see and what they would want to, or what would encourage them to come back and learn more. You can analyze areas in which the business engaged. So it could be if clubs were where people were talking a lot and people were chatting through there. It could be that people, although it didn't seem to be doing much content, lots of people came on and joined for the seminar when you had a speaker, and that actually you get quite a lot of engagement from people that are known within the industry. And so analysing those means that your next learning moment can be more tailored to the things that people loved, and you can remove potentially any elements that people didn't like. And then the other thing is share success stats, not only with the people that are taking part, but also with the senior teams, so that they can support the future of these learning moments, and that they can even, I had it at Game where we would have a new product or a new way of doing things, and they knew that people were engaged on the learning platform, so they used that as their central hub to make a big event, a countdown, an announcement through the learning platform. And so everyone got the announcement, they got the surprise, they got everything they needed to know, and then they also had that kind of event of a week long to complete and understand and get up to speed on everything that they wanted to know about. And when you've got the senior team asking for these types of events, then you know that they're really resonating and that they're working for everyone. Okay, I'm just going to check for any questions. Got one there. Okay, that's one I've already answered. Okay, so firstly, was there any other questions? Anything else people would want to know about that, or is that self-explanatory? Okay, so we talked about the hype of a learning moment. We talked about thinking about how you can get people interested, excited, and exactly giving them a reason to want to come and see what's going on. We talked about it having meaning for them, and that they actually learn and they develop and they get something out of the learning that's on there. And we talked about making it fun and making it special and different in the moment that they're in. And what this can roll onto by having successful moments is what we call the snowball effect. So with this, we've got, first of all, is employee awareness. You give them dates, you tell them what's going on, people become aware of what's happening. The more people are aware, the more people attend, the more people take part, and the more they get out of it. They complete the content, you get more content completed, the more people are aware, and the more they learn and the more valuable information they get from it. And this is what I'm saying again about it being meaningful to them and their job roles. They see that from the learning, and they see the success, and they see the output in their day-to-day lives, and they feel like that learning was a success to them, and they feel like it wasn't a waste of time, that was beneficial, and they are going to put time aside in their diary to come back every week, every day. I mean, we see on average people using growth engineering platform at least a weekly return from their employees coming back to see what's going on. And then ultimately, they have a growing appreciation of what the platform is. It's not seen as this dull, cold place where you maybe go onto once every blue moon when it's, they're really bored and have got nothing else to do, or that they have been told to go there by their boss or the person in the risk department. So employee awareness, content completed that is meaningful to them. They see the success and the output, and they have a growing appreciation and love for the fun things that are going on in each of these learning moments. And then what happens from there is that with more growing appreciation, there's more employee engagement, more awareness of the next event that's happening. And then that will just enhance all of those areas, and it will cycle more and more and more. And your numbers, if you have successful events, will go up more and more. One thing I'll just add as a caveat to this, it does or it can work the other way round. So if you have an event which is seen as not very good, so it may be that you maybe overhyped something, and then when they got there, there really wasn't a lot going on. The content was stuff they'd done previously. It was not relevant to anyone in any way, or they found that it was just a waste of their time. Or then it works the opposite way. They will have lessening appreciation for the platform, and then they may not come back again in the same time frame as they were previously. It may be that you need to re-engage them, but it's important to ensure that if that type of thing does happen, that the surveys and the feedback is even more critical, because if they feel like they've been heard and that the next event is going to be something that resonates with them, they are more likely to come back. Usually with this, if you've got an engaged person, they're still going to come back around 3 or 4 times, even if it's not deemed as a great event. They're still going to come back those times to take a look before they become fully disengaged. So do it right, get these moments perfect, and they are going to, your engagement rate is going to go through the roof, and you'll have people wanting to come back on the platform. It will reach a point where people will just naturally be going on just to see what's going on, who's talking, who's gone up in the leaderboard, who's available in the expert section to talk to, what events are coming up, and things like that. Number 9 on our steps is helping to make it easy. Not everybody's socially savvy, not everybody's gamification inclined, and not everybody's digitally capable to jump onto a brand new platform without some assistance. So some of the reasons that people I've heard in the past, and I think many of you will have heard as well, is some of the challenges of why haven't you been on the learning platform? I never have time, I'm too busy. I don't know how to use it. It's so confusing. I've forgotten my password, and I can't get on. I know everything that's on there already. I don't need to go on there. It doesn't have what I need, so it doesn't have the things that I want to learn. That I have to find them elsewhere. And then the other one is, why should I do it? No one else in my team uses it. And I think we can resonate with a lot of those there. You've probably heard them yourselves. My answer to some of those things is to support that, ensure that the focus does come from the top down. If you have managers or leaders that are engaged and fully appreciate the learning and development of their employees, then it should be a part of their priority. And if my manager said to me, yeah, I know you're busy, Craig, but your development is important too, so make sure you're taking some time, at least some time each month, to develop yourself, then I will ensure I've got the time for it. And if it's not deemed important and your manager is doing the opposite and saying, well, don't worry about that, it's a waste of your time, I need you to deliver X, Y, and Z by Friday, which is a reality, then it can discourage people from wanting to do that. And it may mean that if they really do want to do that, they do it in their own time, which isn't a bad thing if they want to do it in their own time. But if they're forced to feel like they have to do it in their own time, that's not a good thing. So ensure the focus comes from the top down, and that the management and the higher ups really understand the benefits of people developing knowledge management within the business, people being able to deliver more because they know more, being able to do things faster and being able to do things more efficiently because they understand how things work, and being able to come up with more creative ideas because their knowledge is more shared and expansive across the business. You can run webinar. for beginning training sessions. For anyone that says, I don't know how to use it, run a quick webinar, show them how simple it is to use it and show them the basics of what they need. It may be that you need to go and actually show them, sort of do a screen share or something like that and talk them through it. When it comes to I've forgotten my password, make sure troubleshooting is easy. You find the more engaged they are, the more they're on the platform, the more they won't have a need to forget their password, because they will be on there so often that they, it's a common thing that they're logging into. People don't forget their passwords for Facebook and stuff like that because they're in there so often. They may even set it to as being saved on their browser and things like that. For the people that say, I know everything that's on there, I would say these are a resource for you. Sometimes they say that because it's kind of a blocker, because they just don't want to go on there. But in reality, if they're saying they know everything that's on there, then they should be a specialist or an expert. And maybe they'd like to create content and share their knowledge and their expertise with people. It may be in the same way as, it doesn't have everything that I need. You may want to highlight that these people let you know what is it that you don't know that isn't on there, or what is it that you need that isn't on there, and find out from them, because by engaging those people and getting that information, you could have the startings of a new learning moment for those people that is really targeted at, you said we didn't have it, you said this is what you need, come back on X date for a week-long event where we showcase, we've got speakers, we've got X, Y, and Z that really signs off exactly what you told me that you require. And hopefully those people will get engaged in that and they'll see the value of it, and they'll be able to showcase their own knowledge at the same time. And feeling, whenever you get someone involved and have to create their own thing, they instantly feel a bit more empowered and a little bit more involved and want to know how many people have seen it and how many people have looked at it. So it's a great way to get them involved there. And then no one in my team uses it. Now, one thing I would say to this is you will often get groups of disengaged people, and it often, again, comes from the top down. So if you've got a team that is not using your learning platform, not engaging in these things, again, make sure that you're focusing on the management and that they understand the importance and the need. But also, you can highlight to them how they're performing in relation to other people, because if everybody else is doing something and they're behind, it will encourage them to ensure that their groups and their teams are up with the general practice. And then the last point on here is the more people that are using it more frequently, the less friction you'll have on any of these points. And it may be that you tackle one at a time as a sort of extra initiative to break down these barriers. But the more people that are coming onto your platform, experiencing these learning moments, experiencing these seasons of training, and socializing, earning more, and feeling like they're progressing more, the more likely they are to stick with you. And it's being seen as kind of a work perk at that point. And lastly, on the 10 points is creating maximum impact. So, once you've got this community and they're engaged and they absolutely love the platform and they really do respect what it does and what it brings to them, it can be used to harness and really deliver some great initiatives and make sure that things are delivered quickly, and that things that you highlight as return on investment can actually be then shared out to everybody. So if there's training that increases sales by 10% for everyone that completes it, then you'll want to ensure that that is completed by all people. And if you've got an engaged group, you could get that training delivered out there, discretionary effort from everyone wanting to be part of it quickly, and enhance the return on investment there. That's just one example. So having that community is really powerful. Using your own knowledge, alignment to business needs, critical training, and thinking about maybe something that is compliance training, things like that, you'll be able to get really good, fast numbers there as well. So let's go through some of the points. Some of the things to really create maximum impact is to analyze your growing success. So if you can see that you have got more and more people visiting the platform more regularly, you are doing well. If you can see that your events, from one event to the next event, from one learning moment to the next learning moment, more and more people are getting engaged and coming on board, then your platform is growing in success and it has more impact, and it will be able to reach and deliver training to more people. Like I said, you can deliver compliance content in record time because you've got these engaged people ready to jump on. They all have access, they know what they're doing. It's a training package that can be seen as a work perk, especially if you start delving into the likes of rewards, recognition. It could be that people get praise and have the opportunity to share their knowledge and are highlighted and praised, and they get enhanced self-esteem when they're on there as well. Then it is seen as a beneficial thing that not all other people have. Not other organizations have this type of culture or this type of platform. Understand what content delivers the return on investment for you, and include that in a learning moment so that you can turn around to your superiors and say, this is the content that's included, this is for behavioral change, this is maybe for knowledge enhancement, and then this one is where we feel we'll actually get some return on investment because that will improve productivity by 2% across each department, something like that. It enables them to understand actually what these learning moments do, and they will again get more engaged and want to add elements into the next moment you have. There is the idea and concept, and I completely fully appreciate this won't work in every business, but there is the opportunity to have a sponsored learning moment. So if you work, as an example, in let's say Marks and Spencer's, and you want to do a training event that really highlights the a specific brand or a specific charity that they're doing. It could be that they actually align with someone that sponsors them to have a kind of takeover of the platform and use all the knowledge and all the engaged people to learn about a specific product. And then you could also, like I said, align to charity, special events and business initiatives to raise the profile and make sure that you're actually having an impact beyond learning. And then the last thing on here is have big, well-known learning moments. So not every learning moment that you do, not every event that you create has to be the same size or the same length or the same content. But there should be some big ones that people know and that you can cycle on it on an annual or over time. Some of the ones that I had great success with is a Christmas event. So we did like a countdown to Christmas with very short bite-sized training each day, delivered between the 1st and the 12th of December. And then every time anyone did that bite-sized training, again, they were entered into a kind of Christmas calendar type raffle. And then each day, the previous day's award was given out, and then there was a new one up each day there as well. You could also have something like a summer of learning. So if your business gets quiet around the summertime, it could be that's when you want to focus people to develop. You could have a whole takeover where the whole platform becomes bright, sunny, and you instead of getting badges, you're earning stickers in the shape of ice creams and things like that, and that the content is really resonating with them. And you could link it to maybe a special event like a summer party that you've got going on, where it could be there's a stage there, and everyone that is the best performers within this event then get to stand on stage and highlight as our best performers during the summer event, and they get extra rewards there as well. So I mean, all ideas for you there. And I can see we've got a question here. Okay, so I would love to hear an example of a prize raffle you once ran. I love the idea, but can't quite picture it. I would say that with that, just as I said, I'll use the Christmas one as an example. So at Game, we had, obviously Christmas is extremely busy time, and we don't want to have any employees really you doing training when they could be selling. That's the reality of it. However, what we did do is we did a test, a quick knowledge check. It could only take a maximum like 2-3 minutes. And what we did is we actually had them sponsored by the publishers and the suppliers of games, so that they gave like 10 copies of a game, and then you had to answer questions about the game before you started your shift on the 2nd of December. And what we had is we had around about 90% of our employees were engaged in this. They completed it. They were entered into the raffle. And then the next day we highlighted who the winner was, a random selection. And then we put, that on to the next one, the next quick quiz, next quick test. And then it meant for us, that didn't cost us anything. For the publisher, it was sponsored in that they gave us the raffle prizes, but they didn't pay for any of that delivery. And then it meant that the learner was getting the chance of having some fun, learning some stuff, and getting a prize. And the knowledge of the product on that day was enhanced. They were there selling the products. They're going to be mentioning it more. We noticed that the sales on the days that we had the tests would go up, but not just on the day that they had it, but on all days after that, where people had greater knowledge around specific products throughout the Christmas time. So it became very, very popular with lots of people wanting to be part of that. The other thing that we did on that one, as an example, is we also did a mega raffle. So basically, for every prize that was given for each day, we kept something back, and then between the 13th and Christmas Eve, we said that if people have completed all of the tests during that time, they were entered into a mega raffle, which was like a giant hamper of all these products and prizes. So what it meant there was if anybody had missed a day, they actually went back and completed it, ensuring that everyone had the knowledge going into the busiest period. And that was probably our most successful event there. Okay, hopefully that's answered that for you, but it really is up to the creativity of what you can do and what you want to do. And it doesn't always have to be something that costs money. It could be that people get extra time off, or it could be that people get the ability or just the recognition of being the first person or celebrated in that way. Someone here has said, I want to fulfill your vision, but have a small team. Can this still work? Yes, absolutely. It can still work with a small team. In fact, it's sometimes easier with a small team, especially once you've got the camaraderie and the leaderboard and the chance for people to be engaged in the event that's happening. I would say that teams of even around 10 can still have the same sort of impact. And throughout game, we had employees in stores, and there was probably around 10 to 20 employees per store, but each of those stores were fully their own unit. And so you can imagine each one of those as a small group. And when I went out visiting stores and people that we were doing this training with, we would see people and they'd made their own scoreboards in the back, and they had made their own characters, and they'd drawn them, and they had them sticking across of where they got to and how long was left, and they had thermometers counting down until when things were happening. So there's lots of creativity that can come from a smaller team that you sometimes wouldn't get from a larger team that expects those things to be delivered. Okay, any other questions on that? Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you just an overview of all of what we talked about and the way that growth engineering delivers that through our LMS. And then we've got time for some questions, I believe, at the end there as well. Okay. Okay, guys, thank you very much for bearing with us there with the interruption in the middle. I have just looked, and time-wise, we are quite a bit over, so apologies, and thank you for everyone bearing with us. And we will share the recording out to everybody that's attended, so that you can look back in your own time if you need to. I will stay on if there's any questions that people have. We've got one here. So what is your suggestion for classes with students aged 7 to 11? I have been using gamification reward showcase strategy to keep students engaged. I think that's great. I think with students aged 7 to 11, I think they're of that age where anything collecting is fun. So I think having specific sets, we do something called badge sets, where you have a specific group of badges which maybe spell out a word or they fit within a specific group, and they're great for them to try and collect as they go through to ensure that they've covered off everything that they should learn in your training there. We've got a few more. Okay, so we've got some. Okay, I think people are dropping off. So thank you very much. Like I said, I will hang about for a few moments if there's any extra questions. But thank you very much, everyone. Have a good afternoon.